Good morning. So we're learning that Qigong, things like Qigong, standing postures and seated postures, um, as well as yoga postures. So we have three things. We have postures, stances, and movement. Some type of transition, a fluid movement from one stance or posture to the next. So it's a sequence of stances or postures, or both stances and or postures. Now it's different with Qigong and other exercises. What's different with Qigong and yoga, let's say, than from other exercises is a great deal. I mentioned the three things: stance, postures, and sequence. Fourth is essence or breath. And we have a physical body and we have a breath body. So the form is expressed in conjunction with the breath body. It's the other half of the form. Once you understand this, it's the first step to understanding yoga. It's creating a body system of stress within and without the body, between these two membranes, external world and inner world, creating a continuum between presence in the world, placement, space, complete awareness of sensory apperception and cognition, kinesthetic apperception. So knowing, feeling, but then examining it closely. How my body feels right now. All the stresses and tensors. Very simple. But if I'm focused on that, that's the first step. Any movement, it very much helps to use the hands. These are called mudras, and we see these not enough. The public sees a little bit of it, but then you have to be a practitioner to recognize or remember these postures. Once you go beyond a basic practice and learn about the continuum between the yoga stance, posture, and sequence, or the Qigong stance, posture, and sequence, or whatever you want to call it, the Norman's Gong. You call it whatever you want. It's your practice. Posture, stance, and sequence is in conjunction with the breath body, the physical body, and the movement through space, and using the dynamics of the physical world, right? Because we can't move without that. So awareness of that I'm integrated with my atmosphere, my environment already. I have that gift. It's undeniable. There's no separate me. This is all part of me. We all share this living essence, the breath of the world, spirit of the world, the atmosphere, the breath body. So we consider the breath when we conjoin the physical movement sequence body, the form and stance, posture and stance sequence body with the breath body, the essence of life, of sentient life, of all mammalian life, of all reptilian life. We all share the same elements. So this spirit essence of life, this atmosphere, and the internal world is conjoined Once the practitioner learns about that and can have a kinesthetic awareness, or metacognitive awareness of that feeling, where the body is pressured and the stance is perfect, and it can be very humble. But you notice there's a certain elegance too. Whenever you see a yogic posture or a meditative stance, there's always a sense of dignity and grace and perfection of the human body. And that's what you're doing too. So these are very powerful, these stances and these forms. They're always very elegant. In fact, they resemble a dance. And because there's a rhythm and a pattern to them. Even in the yogic, you think of yoga as just sitting in one posture. Or whatever it is. You know, this is what I'm doing. And that's yoga. No, the yoga is conjoining this, focusing on the breath body and the physical body and the tensions and tensors and stresses within my body, my strengths, my weaknesses, any odd sensations within the corpus, the entire corpus, any pleasant sensations, any breath, all the way out, all the way. Any sensations that I want to accentuate, any rounding out of the stress and tensors as I assume that pose, that feel positive, that I want to increase. And how does my mind feel while I'm doing it? And as I expand, as I eliminate all the breath from my body, empty breath body, how does that feel to be hollow and yet strong like a limb, a bamboo or rattan? Your limbs feel in that pose. That's the body sensation, the feeling of it. Okay, so these then answer the question. These are the differences between what I'd like to call entheogens. These type of activities, the meditation, the intense focus on body, breathing, stance, posture, sequence, all are single-minded focus, all are designed perhaps tens of thousands of years in our genetic memory, because no behavior can be inherited, that the mystical core or the mystical seekers have been practicing, have been developing and practicing. And there's a neurognostic model for yoga. There's a neurognostic model for self-examination. There's a neurognostic model. There's a neurognostic model for intense cognitive focus and examination on the self, the physical self, training the physical body, training the mind in conjoinment with the body, together with. This idea is tens of thousands of years old. People have been practicing things like yoga, these entheogens. Entheogens, it means to create a sacred feeling, a feeling of the sacred. To observe the sacred, to participate in the sacred, and to be the sacred. This is the definition of entheogen. And it also applies to hallucinogens. That's what they're called. Entheogens. So, in fact, in my college days, I was experimenting, studying all this, Eastern philosophy and practices, and that's when I started. And I was also experimenting with hallucinogens. And I found that these postures and forms arose spontaneously. I had no previous knowledge of any type of training. I've never been exposed to anything like this. And yet I was able to find, later when I learned about what am I doing? Why am I assuming these postures, and why am I assuming this breath body What do I have? What is this breath body and this alien, seem like alien forms that I can do, very new postures that I can do, that lend a sense of heightened awareness and physical strength and core strength and strength of focus. Piercing. It's almost like this type of practice, the yoga practice, and I don't want to call it yoga because yoga is more devotional. I don't like the philosophical complications or unnecessary extraneous material. Yoga is devotional. Hindu religion is devotion. Make a big deal about the gods. Gods, I like to call affectionately people who are into the gods and God, to that extent, God slobbers. You'll find that any conversation you have with them, they have to just use God. They can't explain things in human terms, so they're like, just keep on using this word, God, 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 as if everybody wants to hear about their personal faith or belief system. And why do you have to keep on saying it? Who are you trying to convince? Okay, so should we celebrate that you have a personal God? Or direct connection to the sacred? We have to keep on pronouncing it to everybody, because everything's dependent upon that. You turn over everything to God, you also abnegate your responsibility, personal agency. So things like religious, theistic, devotional practices which seek outside source for inner development, you don't turn any problem over to God or ask Him to take anything away from you. If you want to pray, you pray, give me the strength to bear this. Give me the courage to do what I have to do in this moment. Isn't that watching over you and changing the traffic? I heard a woman say that when the traffic lights are green, I know God is with me. I had to leave the room. We were at a meeting. Everyone was just God slobbing. And I had to come to terms with that. So we got way off topic. But yoga, I don't like to call this yoga because it's just a label. It's a practice. It's an entheogen. Things that you do, behavior that is done that generate this inner sense of or symbol of heightened physical and psychological abilities, physical and cognitive abilities through a practice, and the experience of the increase in the heightened sensitivity and awareness of heightened abilities and cognition. So you're experiencing them. No, then it's not a question of belief, and you don't have to tell them what you believe. Who cares about what you believe? How do you feel? What have you experienced in what you do, instead of turning everything God, 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 this, God, that? So those things will change. They're almost like primitive, that attitude. It's almost childish in a way. So this is a new one I found today. These rose spontaneous with me. So here's what I'm doing. I'm going down, and you notice my heels are off the ground here. And then go all the way down, supporting yourself, and then posture has to be about this wide. Feet almost straight. And then you slowly flatten your feet out. Just like this. You flatten your feet out. And then like this. And this is very hard to do while I'm talking. That's tremendous. Tremendous for your back, your shoulders, everything. You're totally yoked. That's what the feeling is, a physical, subjective feeling. The subjective sensation is that you're yoked to something. And you're totally yoked, and the whole body is involved. Everything, from the inside to the out, there's this pressure wave. And then if you add the breath to that, breathing all the way out and holding that, forget about it. Talk about heightened state. Now people yoga do these postures without thinking about it, without focusing on the inner awareness of what's happening. They just go out there and stretch, and they think they're doing yoga. It's total absorption. And if you do the posture right, there's no way to avoid that. And if you don't have a clear mind, we do have problems. If you can't settle down, it's hard to get into total awareness. Postural and sequential awareness of your body moving. See if there's anything else. No, I have to go. Oh, there is one other thing, but I won't show it to you now. It's one of the best techniques I've come up with. Now, other people may be doing these things. I'm sure they are. I'm sure they do. The things that happen to me through my practice, my insights, and life should be like that, insights, series of insights, and we get insights through a practice, an entheogenic practice, physical form, sequence, movements, cognition, mental states, psychological states, self-examination. These are the tools. When we use these things, we derive the benefits of them. And we could use each to enhance the other. So if I can't, I'm restless, certainly won't be able to do, sometimes I won't be able to get into the flow, the heightened awareness of my state. So let's call these the phase state. Instead of saying all the things that I do with physical, emotional, sensual, cognitive, this phase state, the heightened phase state. So if once I can't get into that because I'm restless, my mind and body, then I have to either get up and go away, come back later, or work through it. And working through it is the best deal. I don't say ask God to take this away. Sure, it may work, but then you become a slave to that. Why not just do it yourself? Of course it will work if I ask God to take away this fear right now, or this uncertainty right now. Help me with this problem, God. And He will. He'll make you feel better. It's the way it works. Don't ask me. But why not just do it yourself? Yeah, more later. I'll show you this kettlebell. I was saying that other people, I'm sure millions and billions of people, millions and millions through the generations have done exactly the same things that I'm doing. I'm positive. So saying things in mind is bullshit. That's it. I hope you're developing some practice. I hope the few of you that watch this, I hope you're gleaning something from it. Because if you're not, then you dig out your ears and watch and listen. Okay, talk to you later.